I dress like a woman. When I walk into a boardroom, I want to be a woman. I don't want to be a man.
I know everything I need to be capable.
Yeah.
So when I walk into the room, I walk in powerful and confident.
The industry itself is a very wide industry, has been. And so I have intentionally told myself that I must change or at least dilute that color.
I've always told people, go in with confidence, but be capable. Your capabilities must show. Understand your business. So when you go there, you are not folding.
So we are today shooting our first episode, literally going in ICT Dynamic Women. We are unmasking the faces behind corporate, the women that have literally changed and challenged the status quo in corporate and are powerhouses behind the ICT sphere.
Women in ICT is my space. I love it, been in it forever. So obviously I'm feeling excited about being made over. It's not something that you do every day. It's making me feel special, especially being that it's falling on Mother's Day. So I'm getting my Mother's Day gift up front loading. That's what it is. So yeah, so looking forward to later on the interview, but I will be looking the part. I'll be looking the part, yeah. Now you've got to make sure that you're top notch when you go for some of these things, yeah, and makeup is part of it.
It's going to be an amazing day. I'm looking forward to today with Sibongile on the podcast. I think it is time we start empowering each other as women, but also bringing men on our journey. So I'm so excited, super excited to share my journey, my story, my career, my life, and also help other women be empowered. Well, as I get ready, thank you, Pretty, for being so beautiful and helping me to get myself done. Powered by Clarins, powered by Terrific and Sibongile. I'm looking powerful. Can't wait.
I'm excited about it. We're shooting at my penthouse. We are making sure that we are going in. We are talking all things, as I said, career, all things motherhood, all things how do you own your space and own your seat at the table, because it's very important. We always talk about women empowerment. Let's see how these women have actually changed the trajectory of women in this space. Hello and welcome to the very first episode of ICT Dynamic Women Podcast. This is a space where we shine the spotlight on the incredible women shaping the South Africa's ICT landscape and beyond. I'm your host, Sibongile Martino, and I'm so excited to kick off this journey with two powerhouses who embody the bold, brilliant, and dynamic spirit of this industry. Joining me today are Desiree Letshabo and Sharmine Naicker, two women whose professional journeys not only have disrupted the status quo, but are redefining what leadership looks like in tech. Welcome, ladies. I am so excited to have both of you here. Awesome. And let's kick it off. I just want to start with your journeys. Desiree, I'm going to start with you. When you think back, just as in your career, where ICT began for you, what drew you to this world?
So it was not something that I even thought about. Like every little girl, when you asked, what is it you want to do? I wanted to be an air hostess or do modeling or something like that. That sounded more exciting. And the ICT world is not even something that I knew anything about. So then I went through school. Then for some reason, maybe thanks to my parents, I seem to be quite good in sciences. And as I was getting, closer to completing my high school, of course, I had to start thinking about what I want to do after high school. Then I was fortunate enough to have a guidance counselor in the shape of someone who had already been in this industry, which is telecommunications specifically, ICT, but focusing on telecommunications. And she somehow spotted me and came to talk to me
Yes.
to say, look, you seem to be strong in sciences. We don't have a lot of women in the ICT space. And you can imagine back in my time, you can see, I've lived there quite a few years. So at that time, I was quite shocked because it's something that, yeah, I even thought about it. She says, why don't you think about engineering in telecommunications?
Yeah.
And I said, no, that's for men because of the stereotype, So if anything, and because of apartheid, and I know we always make reference to apartheid, but the only profession that you're allowed to, undertake at the time was either legal, lawyer, or. So I said, no, I think if anything, then I'd rather settle to be a medical doctor, And then she said, but we already have a lot of those, So why don't you become one of those game changers? Why don't you break the ceiling and enter into this space? And after quite a number of sessions with her, and her telling me about the pros, spending a lot of time about the positives of this industry, and she got to convince me, and that's how I got into the space.
That's absolutely amazing. I think you've touched on such the stereotypes. You could either be a teacher, a nurse, or go into into being a medical doctor.
Yeah.
And I think when when we look at it, Sharmine, I mean, just your journey as well. I mean, your impact has been so undeniable. How did your entry into the ICT space shape who you are today?
I think it's been a really unpredictable journey. I thought I was going to be a designer, a musician. And then I ended up, I went into apparel, into buying because of designing. I went into buying and planning. And I think it was unpredictable because when I got to into the apparel section into Mr. Price Group, I realized that I love clothing and footwear, etc. But then when I got into Edcon, I met this amazing man, and he was in charge of cellular. And he says, Shami, with your skill set in buying and planning, don't you want to join my team? And I looked at him and he said, that's a nice boss. He is jolly and he's happy-go-lucky. Let me try it. And I promise you, that spark fueled my passion. And I stayed in over 2 decades in the mobile device space and the tech space, just because you start with something and you think that's your passion. And then, yes, it was about clothing and designing. But when I went into the tech space, it was so much more interesting, meeting people, talking to the telcos, negotiating. And I think that's sparked and fueled my career. And I never looked back. I just kept going.
And I absolutely love this. I mean, there's a growing up as well. I was actually, thinking about it as I came in today to say, I also wanted to be an air hostess. At some point, I said, I'm going to.
Most of us to travel. Always wanted to be policemen, and we wanted to be, yeah.
And I think, now that both you ladies have walked this journey. So when we think about when people hear your names in the industry, what do you want them to associate your personal brand with?
Well, what I try to do in terms of defining my personal brand is to be authentic, So I try to live my values. That's the first thing. So I want to be known for that, and I think I'm associated with that, right? I as you know, the ICT space, especially the telecommunication space, to be specific, is very male dominated. So very few women there.
Yes.
And there's a fallacy that in order to be recognized around the table or at the table, you have to look like a man or act like a man. But I dress for excellence. Yes. I dress like a woman. When I walk into a boardroom, I want to be a woman. I don't want to be a man. So, I'm known for that. I remember actually the other day I was going to a warehouse. We're going to do a walkabout at a warehouse, and my boss literally said to me, "Can you just wear sneakers, jeans, and you don't need to?" Because I make sure when I come and sit at the at the table in the boardroom, I'm dressed. So I'm known for that. So I'm part of my personal brand. But one of the things that I'm known for and that I like, and by definition, I come from a political family. So my parents were in the struggle, they were in exile. So, I was inculcated into a culture. So, yes, much as I'm in this profession, one of the things I do want to do, and I intentionally do so, is to be a change maker. I must make change. So, the industry itself is a very wide industry, has been. And so, I have intentionally told myself that I must change or at least dilute that color.
Yeah.
So I'm known for that. When I get into a team and I've been around the different service providers, I've almost touched all of them.
Yeah.
So when I walk away, when I walk on there, I remember this in the 90s, the late 90s, when I walked on this. I won't mention the company, but there are a few telco companies.
In South Africa,
So when I walked, there was one black person.
I would say the 90s.
In the team, there was one black person, literally, and that person is not your typical black person, So, and why I say that, because I remember he had on his as his screensaver Pamela Anderson. Wow. And then I said, "Brother."
What is going
Out of
on?
so many beautiful women, black women, you had to put Pamela Anderson on as your screensaver, And then he was like, "Boss, you're getting into my personal space," which is true. But I tried to embrace that, So by the time I walked out of that company, 50% of the team was black, and when I mean black, very diverse, in that sense.
And I think this speaks to the sense where you say, authentic. I always say you don't want to be like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. With the days you meet,
Yes,
is the days you will meet.
exactly, and that's what I
walking
try to
past
do that.
And for me, that's very important. And I mean, we are going to touch on transformation quite a bit for now. But Sharmine, I just wanted to bring it through to you. I mean, I'm from Des. I'm from Desiree. I'm picking up authenticity, and I'm picking up we need to change challenge and change the status quo. On your side, what do you want to associate your personal brand with?
So I've been very intentional in my career path is to understand and roll up my sleeves and get myself into all of the spaces in my environment. So if I was in retail, I wanted to understand the marketing, the logistics, the operations, because once I've done that, I know everything I need to be capable.
Yeah.
So when I walk into the room, I walk in powerful and confident. And I think my colleagues and the people I deal with, when they know when I'm coming, Sharmine knows what she's doing. She understands the business. And when I go in there, I'm very well prepared. So with every meeting, and I think I've started mentoring people that when you go into the room, first know your audience, but know what you're going in for. Go in as capable as you can, because if you go into a meeting and at your and at the executive level you need to know your business, whether it's the store business, the operational business, etc. So I was very intentional throughout my career, through every retailer. I even went into the FMCG world and wanted to understand what the cold room was about. I mean, like,
Wow.
so so Neil Quirk was the operational manager at Pick n Pay, and he says, "Sharmine, why do you want to know what's happening in the cold room?" I said, "Neil, please can I come through? I just keep hearing this cold room, and I'm not in that space, but I need to." But I think it's about, if you're intentional about your capabilities, when you walk into the room, you walk in with the most confidence because you understand your business. And when you're sitting across the table negotiating, the person on the other side understands and cannot underestimate you. So I've always told people, go in with confidence, but be capable. Your capabilities must show. Understand your business. So when you go there, you are not folding.
Absolutely. And I think we need that. And it's such a nice segue into, my next question, where we now, it's real talk, lady. As we said, they are here to unmask, they are here to be, it's not boardroom speak. Let's really talk about what it really means to be a woman in ICT. I mean, Desiree, looking at your career, I mean, it spans over 3 decades. And when we look at what have been some unspoken challenges that you've had to navigate, I mean, from boardrooms to just, just being in the ICT space, what have been some of these unspoken harsh truths about the industry itself?
It hasn't been easy.
Yeah.
Being a black woman, and it started all the way from college, from university.
Yes.
The stereotypes, the biases, is almost you could see it in the eyes of not just the lecturer, but even the boys, because we're young and the guys around, like, why don't you go do some modeling or something like that, So, you're literally like a nuisance. So it started all the way from there, and you had to constantly be fighting. If you had to, when groups of, when you had to go to the lab and we had to go and test things and experiment.
Yes.
Literally, I think there were 2 girls in my class, in my university class, and nobody wanted us in their groups because we were girls. So it started all the way from there, and it was just constant and hard, to the extent that it influenced my decision to dilute the technical aspect of my career. What I mean by that is that I went and did my MBA to bring in the commercial side. This is where I reside now. This is where I'm working. So I'm not a hardcore engineer, because I just felt I can't deal with this. If this is the way it's going to be, then it's going to be really hard and it can break me, So that's how it's been. But having said that, even the commercial side is still, I mean, Sharmine and I were talking earlier, and we're saying it's very rare. We're always like the only women in the boardroom.
Yes.
And I'm talking many decades down the line,
Yeah.
It's still, and then especially as you go up, in leadership position, you see less and less people that look like us,
Absolutely.
So, and I want to agree with Sharmine is that as a woman, you have to work 3 times as hard. You have to know. You have to know. You have to know it all. You have to know what you're talking about. You have to really be on top of your game, because that's the only way you'll gain respect around the room.
And I think as you're saying that, I think I just want to just also bring in, that feeling in the boardroom as you find yourself most of the time the only female. Then there's usually the banter that the boys throw around.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that? Because I find that most of the time I used to find that so silly, and I used to think, why is the banter being thrown around and I am supposed to understand it and still be expected to perform higher than everybody else, but everyone else, the male counterparts, seem to get away with, no, it's just banter. I don't need to be prepped for this exco. So how do you handle that, Sharmine?
I think like we were talking before, it seemed like everything women do has to be done 3 times harder. We have to fight harder. And sometimes, like you said, some of them don't come prepared. And here you are, you've worked the whole night to prepare this entire pack ready for boardroom, and you're ready, and then the banter starts.
Yeah.
And I think over the years, initially it didn't really get to me because I was at a junior level, so you just kind of mingle. But as I started stepping up, and I said, I'm not going to allow it, because if I allow it, it's going to continue.
Yes.
So it's my duty to tell them I'm not comfortable, unless you want me to be in part of the team. There shouldn't be any banter. So I was very straightforward in my boardrooms. I went into one boardroom and they were starting to talk Afrikaans.
Yes.
And I said, guys, I do not understand Afrikaans. Please, can we go back to English? And they laughed. And I said, no, and we go back to a language that we all understand. And I didn't understand any of my Indian languages, but I was going to throw it in there. Gee, I'm going to speak our language. But that's the kind of things we need to start overcoming. We need to be clear about what we want. And we cannot allow ourselves to be underestimated. And in the beginning, when I sat in high-level meetings, you'd get insignificant questions thrown at you.
Yeah.
Just because they want you to feel uncomfortable and they want you to maybe not have the right answer. And that's why I was very deliberate in having a 360 understanding of my business and the back end and the front end. So when I'm in a room, you cannot fault me because I'll have the answers.
I absolutely love that, and that's how I've continuously shown up, in my. We always say my previous lives, as if you are immortal. I've come back, having lived corporate. And what I want from this is literally just. Were you saying you're owning your space? Dave, I love what you said about I walk in and I show up as a woman. I love color. I was earlier with Sharmine, I was actually chuckling at how there used to be comments thrown like Spongile thinks this is at runway every time I used to show up in corporate. And I mean, I think we've also had the pleasure of working with some of our colleagues like Lerato who'd show up and it's always a dress up, it's like, this is who. So there was a year where I said, I love Sarah Jessica Parker and how she shows up. So, and that's how I then said, this is my style. And I love dressing up for the office. But besides us showing up as I dress like this and this is who I am, I have this voice. And mind you, I'm waiting for the people that always say, hello, sir, you've lost the sale because you just said Mrs. Martino. And as soon as you hear my voice, you say, sir. And I'm like, they'll then say it's intimidating. But how do you own your space unapologetically so? And this goes for both of you.
Look, I'm at a point in my life where I think because of what Sharmine said, I've worked hard to be recognized, and I'm known in the industry, in that way. And I was just telling actually one of my younger colleagues in my team that, because she was saying, you're lucky, you always get, because literally you get a call almost every year to say, can we headhunt you, And I said, it's because I'm known, and it's not luck. It's how yes, consistency is how I show up. So yes, I'm in demand, but I've had to work hard at it. But I'm at a point where I can define and literally dictate, for lack of a better word, how I want to work, where I want to work. Because I remember there were changes that were going to be made in the current company where I am, and they were going to put me in another area. And then I literally went to my CEO and said, that's not where I want to be. Yes. All right. This is, if you don't have a space for me here, then maybe we can have a different discussion, and my CEO was like, why? I was like, where you want to push me, there are a lot of challenges that are negative that will dilute my energy, if I can put it that way, that will take away from my energy. And I'm very happy where I am. You're letting me soar. I'm enjoying it. And so, I'm not going backwards, because been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Because our industry, telecommunication, is very hard. So I'm unapologetic about it. And I said, if you feel I'm not the right fit for the, the current, because organizations evolve. And they're evolving in a certain direction, and you feel I'm now not the right fit for this new strategy that you have and your vision, then it's fine. I'm quite comfortable. I think I have the EQ to understand that I might not necessarily be the right fit for this new model of yours, So, but I'm not going there. So I'm unapologetic about it, because I own my space. I've worked hard at it, and I know that I can now call the terms. I can dictate the terms that I want.
You've paid the school fees.
I've paid the school fees.
You've paid the school fees. That's exactly what we are going for. And for you, Shami, what would it be? How do you unapologetically show up?
Well, I think I've earned the respect over the years. It didn't come easy.
No, definitely.
You had to basically try and get the respect in the industry. I think what happens is, and I'm really happy that I've been in the telco space for so many years, that you evolve with your partners and the OEMs, and I think I've earned my seat, not because of the company I worked, but the brand I've created for Sharmine. That's my brand, the capabilities, the business acumen, everything that I've had to do. Yes, we've done it 3 times over, but you know what? I'm proud I've done it 3 times over because I know what I need to do. And so from an industry perspective, I think I'm unapologetic. I earned the right. I am capable. I haven't got it because I met a freight. I got it because I am good.
And so many of us are afraid to say that, right? You don't want to say, I'm the boss in this. I kick bums at strategy. I am good. Don't tell me about networks. I mean, you've probably seen from the addict age of, we are here with pages. We are now moving to cellular. We are
Yeah, we've lived them all.
No, there's no way you can say
We saw the evolution of technology.
And you know, when they say you're a legend, I mean, one of the guys were telling me a few weeks ago, he says, Sharmine, I miss chatting to you. And then I said, yeah, but I met a friend, and you know, there's always good people.
Yeah.
Good. And you know, when we say empower each other, I didn't even know he was talking on my behalf. And I was at a breakfast, and the guy says, I know of you. I'm like, okay, because I just said, hi, Sharmine Naicker. He says, I know of you. X and X said all of these things. And then I phoned him to say thank you. I didn't even realize, you know what, you've been a legend in cellular. You know everything that needs to be done. There is no way that when I meet people and we chat that I do not talk about good people.
Wow.
And that's what I like. And it was coming from a male. And that's why I said that I've been fortunate enough to have really good male bosses in my career. And the majority of my life was with males. But sometimes it's not your boss. It's sometimes your level that actually want to take you down for all the wrong reasons. And I would stand my ground.
And you know, when we talk about what are the walls and the corridors saying about you in rooms that you are not in, is that not what we aspire for at the end of the day? To say, even when I've left the room, I don't need to advocate for myself. My work speaks for itself. Have you found that that's how it's went for you? You've just found that as Sharmine has put it, that there's people advocating for you, that are your cheerleaders, without you having to present yourself all the time in a room.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of that. And that's why it's important that you also surround yourself with people, you know, the sponsors, the networks that will advocate for you, that will support you. But what I also want to touch on is the talk in the corridor. So I know the talk in the corridor is that, you know, I'm very motherly. You know, and I had a boss who tried to shoot me down for that. Very motherly, very womanly. And that's what I bring to the table. That's what I bring to the space.
Absolutely.
And he would tell me, in this industry, there's no room for softness. You've got to be hardcore. And I said, but that's not who I am. I bring the softness. I know the people. I go right down to understand that Joe that's sitting in the corner, the Jane that's sitting there. I know their issues. I know that they have 2 children. I know that other one's child is sickly. I know the issues. I'm that type of person. I make the effort. You don't. You are very clinical. You want the numbers, or you want, and you know. So
Numbers, KPIs.
Yes, I can't separate that from. And I'm glad that, and you should embrace it, because we should be complementing one another as a team. And so you know, the talk in the corridor is that when it does get a bit in fact, my mother-in-law was saying that's my gift, because you know, it's almost like in the team, every time there's a problem, even personal problems, people come to me because that's the talk in the corridor. That's what but I love it. You know, it takes up a lot of my time, but in terms of building the team, because and this is what a lot of leaders forget.
Yes.
The people.
Yeah.
The people are so important. I was actually listening to this radio show where this group CEO is who's very successful was being interviewed, and they said, "What's the the story behind your success?" He says, "The people."
Mm.
He says, "I have a vision, and I go and I tell my people, I want to take this bus from here to there.
Yes.
They will tell me how to get there, because they will say, don't take this route. There's a detour there. Make sure that you avoid driving at night. There are potholes on this one, because they know they're on the ground. So, and a lot of organizations forget that. The leaders at the top talk alone. They isolate the people on the ground. So I felt that that's what I bring to the team. And that has made my team very cohesive, a happy team. So I bring the softness.
And I love that, because I mean, even if you look at David Novak and how he talks about taking people with you. I mean, without the people, we definitely couldn't have made it thus far in our careers, because you bring in the nurturer side, which we're often told. And I find it's so concerning for the young women that are getting into the space where they're starting their corporate lives, they're getting into the ICT world, and they are being told, there is no space for you to be soft.
Yeah.
And this is a nice segue for us, Sharmine, to go into life beyond work. And this is where I just need you to tell me, let's step out of the boardroom, for instance. Let's step out of the corridors. What does balance look like for you? I mean, with your children, with your husband. When you they always say leave your problems at home, and then when you get to home, we say leave your work problems. But how do you find that balance? How do you navigate that space?
Well, I'm really grateful that I have a really supportive husband. I've got 2 kids. I've got my wonderful 2 furry babies.
Very basic.
My furry babies. And I celebrate a themed party for them every year.
Yeah.
I showed you the picture. Like last year was Madame Zaria's the Frosty party. So I think when I leave work, I want to leave to go home to keep the happy environment that my family bring to me. And I've tried to do that. It is very difficult to balance yourself between work and life. But I think when I go home, I want to be loved and I want to be hugged. And I just want to spend my free time with my family. And I think we love traveling. We love just spending time. Our tradition is that in every birthday, we will put a backdrop, some balloons, and a birthday cake. Whether it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It happens every year. And I mean, even some of the guys that drop off stuff at, my online shopping guys say, why don't you adopt me? Like, I could be that, but I think I have the compassion still stays. Like you said, I'm still a compassionate leader. I was chatting to one of my colleagues from the company, and she says, "You're doing this podcast tomorrow. Don't sell yourself short." She says, "Because you do that. You're talking about your career, etc. But you never talk about the good things you do with people, how you've mentored them, how you've encouraged them, and how you've done things differently." I say, "But it's part of my life,
For you, it seems like
it's like for me, I call it business as usual. It's like, no, it's not. Somebody you've impacted somebody's life, and that's why I think when you do good things around, when you go home, you're still happy because you've done so much. And so I love online shopping. I need to go to an online shopping like a I love traveling. My husband and I just love we like making memories with our kids and taking them on these little small things. It's all about the heart. It's not about the money you spend. It's about how your heart feels to do these little things. And it's the small things that count. And that's me from just growing up. I'm a Durbanite, by the way. So when the podcast goes out, all my Durbanites, I'm a Durbanite. Hey, Durbanite. We brought the smiles to Johannesburg. Oh, really? We did. We brought the personality to Johannesburg. So I love all these things, but I love people. I love socializing. I think that's why telecommunications was the thing for me. And I seized that moment because you're continuously interacting with people on a daily basis. And it's not just about work. It's about how do you influence people? How do you encourage people? It's not only about empowering your team, mentoring people, but how do you, on a daily basis, throw out these little nuggets to help people and support them? So yes, I have that work-life balance, but I take some of my compassion from my home and my lovingness back to people. And not everybody likes it, by the way. Hey, when especially when you're a compassionate leader and you're working with many males, they're like, I don't think they like it. Like, like you buying a donut in the morning.
They wouldn't like that. And I think this comes. I'd just like to take it back to you this way. What is your non-negotiable? I mean, we laugh about, and sometimes it's a joke and sometimes it isn't. And I mean, I've seen on social media recently a lot of women are talking about, do not bake the coffee at work, do not offer the donuts, because then that starts being the standard that Sibs is in the boardroom. She will make us coffee.
Oh, no.
So John can say, make me coffee. Paul can say, please, what are your non-negotiables? I mean, and now we're out of the boardroom, but then just what are your non-negotiables at work? And also, what are the no-go as soon as you say, this is my family, this is my personal space, this is where I draw the line? What are your non-negotiables when it comes to personal well-being?
Yeah, you have to have those. And for me, my home is my safe space. I will put in the extra work, but I do negotiate the boundaries. Like Sharmine, my family comes first. So we're creating memories. We're spending quality time, because during the day, we're all rushing. This is just a very fast life. Everybody's going about doing their thing. And if we don't make the time at home, I mean, I've got even when we're at home, a rule that says cell phones down.
Yes.
We're going to talk, we chat, we catch up. So deliberately making the time to talk to one another.
Yes.
So for me, the non-negotiable is exactly that. Please respect my time. I'm not necessarily fussy. If I know how to read the room.
Yes.
So if I have to make you coffee, it doesn't make me less of who I am. I don't believe that. It just depends on the circumstances at the time. So I'm not too. You know what? The thing about it is that women have to sort of be very careful around the what if. If I make coffee, then they're going to think this is who I am.
Your role.
Yes, and that's your role. But because of, like I say, the stereotypes, the biases, and so they have to be careful. Sometimes we spoke about, women wanting to gain respect by trying to be like men.
Yes.
And I know I work with a lot of women, especially as they go up the ladder, as they go to leadership roles, they feel they have to be a hardcore. And that's why they're even labeled a certain way. You don't have to be that. There's a difference between assertiveness and aggression. And I have some of my friends. Yeah. So it's all of those things. So I'm willing to put in the extra time. I'm willing. We have to obviously talk about it and agree how we put in there. But for me, the non-negotiable is that one. Don't be touching on my family time, and then expect me to just jump when you want to. So yeah, that's my non-negotiable there.
And I absolutely love it. Now let's talk about trends, the influence and the innovation. I mean, as we said, you've seen it all from pages to from stopping using the fax machine. What are the tech trends that you are excited about currently in your space?
No, we've definitely, and Sharmine can agree with me. This space is exciting. You don't have time to be bored. Because technology changes. These days, in fact, you feel like screaming, stop, because it's just I remember one time we had this, because I'm in the cell phone business, right? So we had this client, he had just had his phone for 6 months. He had just upgraded his phone for 6 months, and then a newer version came out, and he was angry. an iPhone user, and he just came and said, "When is it going to stop?" And he threw his phone. Because, but that's just how fast this world of ours, technology evolves that way. So, I was telling my child that I was showing her, the smaller one, that this is how the telephone used to look before, because she just knows the cell phone. And then she was like, "Were you talking to it? Were you taking it with you when you were away?" And I said, "No, it's stayed plugged in my house." So yeah, I mean, we're in the AI space now. Yeah. We have gone. Technology started moving very slowly in terms of evolving, and then it just catapulted. It just accelerated to a point where it's scary, if I can put it that way. Yeah. So what I do though is, for me, knowledge and learning is constant. It's consistent. I have to constantly be reading and going to industry conferences and courses, taking up courses. So knowledge is important. So you have to stay relevant. Otherwise, you'll be left behind. So that's what I do, and making sure that I'm updated. I'm constantly updated with technology.
Sharmine, would you say it's the same for you? I mean, we are in the AI space.
We in the AI space,
And
you know what?
a lot of times, oftentimes it is said that this is dumbing down the human brain. I mean, we know about, machine learning. And so you say, I have the inputs for AI to give me this. But what would you say is the trait?
We need to change the way we think of AI. People have been like negative. Oh, is AI going to take away my job? No, it isn't.
No.
It's what are you going to do with AI to amplify and complement you?
Yeah.
And speed up the process and get things done more effectively and efficiently. So I'm all about the AI. I've started making sure as well I become relevant. I mean, there's the whole AI. Now if you go and look, there's the flip, the fold, the double fold, the triple fold. I mean, like, what's next? How many more folds and flips are you going to have? But every single new device that's come is coming with so many capabilities. It makes your life easy. I mean, just for instance, you now have, I don't have to ask you about your shoe, where you bought it from. I'll do a circle to search and I'll find out where you bought this shoe from. Because that's how it's gone. Because before you do, where did you buy those beautiful shoes from? Not anymore. It's making life better. It's helping you along the way. That's the technology space. And you have to be able to be relevant. I mean, 2 years ago, there was nothing like buy now, pay later, where you could buy a phone on a lay-by. You've only been doing clothes. I mean, that buy now, pay later industries even flourish because we have to create space for people that haven't really got all the funds, but they aspire to have the new Apple or Samsung, etc. Like you said, the guy that complained about his phone, promise you, he's in the queue on the pre-order waiting for the
For the next one.
He's already looking at when is this phone arriving. Yes, I got it 5 months ago, but you know what? I need that new phone.
I need the newer one because they're scared. What if the new one has got something that I don't have? In terms of,
And I think, we're really talking about this, lady, just before we even close off. I just want to know from you, Desiree, a young woman watching this, who aspires to be in ICT and they don't know. We're always thinking zeros and ones. I want to get in the binary side. I want to get into, I need to learn coding. I mean, at some points, coding was, the buzzword. People were saying, I want to learn Python. What could you say to a young woman watching this podcast and say, I want a career in ICT?
I would say to them, don't be scared. This is a very interesting career. I'm absolutely, I cannot even quote any time in my life, in my journey, where I wasn't happy and I didn't love it. Technology is interesting. Don't let anyone discourage you. I know it sounds, because I know as I belong to some professional groups that try to recruit young girls into the space, and it's they say no. So we have to convince them. We do a lot of the mentoring and what I mean, trying to recruit them. But don't take it for granted. You've got to, like Sharmine said, you've got to make sure that when you're in it, You're in it
For the long run.
for the long run.
Yes.
Yes, you're in it for the long run, and it's hard work. Yes, you have to
And have the, I think also I'm also picking up is that you need to have the the need to want to learn.
to want to learn.
Yeah.
You must have a growth mindset,
Yes.
to want to learn, to grow.
Yeah.
But also, because there's so few women in this space, the opportunities are abundant. There's an abundance of opportunities, so literally the sky is the limit. And so look for those opportunities, those new opportunities, embrace them, and growth can be accelerated because of the fact that you're a woman, and people want to see women in higher positions in this space. And I want to say, BEE for me worked. I know there's a lot of talk about EE and BEE, because I was saying as I got into the industry in the 90s, right, and because the space was so wide, had they not put out a position, because BEE is forcing that you must have certain quotas.
Yes.
That particular position that I applied for was for a Black woman. That door opened for me. Had BEE not been there, that position would have never opened for a person like myself. So the BE opportunities are there as well. Look for them. And it doesn't mean because you're BE now, you're just a number. You gotta put in the hard work. Yes.
It's always the argument, right? That we get into the spaces where they'll say it's an EE position.
Yes.
And when we look at that, then it becomes you are just
And you got in because of your black face, but no.
just got in because of your black face.
Yeah.
It is always so interesting because that then, I believe, creates that environment where you now have to work 20 times harder because you have to prove that you're just not a face.
Yeah.
And I think that we have the responsibility.
So don't be there because you're just thinking, okay, they need me here. No, you got to put in the hard work. You must beg.
You got to earn that seat.
If you got to earn that seat at the table. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And for you, Sharmine, what is it? A young woman out there, some of them are already in these spaces. They're afraid to even walk up and say, can you, I think you probably get this all the time, can you mentor me? Some of them are afraid to even come. What would you say to a young woman?
To have a positive mindset, they've got to keep on learning and understanding that this is a very dynamic industry. So learning is key. You're going to get a seat from your capabilities and what you bring to the table. Because even if you get a seat, you still got to work hard. It's not about the male, it's not a gender thing. It's about how are you going to positively change the way you think and the way you want people to believe in you. Because I'll mentor you if you believe in yourself.
Yes.
But I'm not mentoring you if you're going to come there and not put in the hard yards. So it's about working hard, staying focused. I've always been resilient and passionate. And if you have the passion, you'll drive yourself. So if tech is your passion, I mean, I've been in it for 2 decades as well. I love it. It's what keeps me up at night. The exciting things are happening, always looking at the trends. So I think for a young woman, don't be scared.
Yes.
It's an absolutely dynamic and evolving business. We need more women.
We need
We
more
need
women.
more women. We need
And the younger generation.
we need you on, to share your values, mentor other people, and empower people. But most importantly is empower each other and to draw from each other.
Sure, that can be a topic that we can go in
another day.
for another day. But as a parting shorts, Desiree, from your side, what is in your 2025 vision board? Personally or professionally, what would that be? What is your mantra for 2025? What's on your vision board and what's your mantra for 2025?
So, on a personal level, there are things I set myself out to do. So there's a group of women that I belong. So it's part of my work-life balance. We have a group of ladies in the industry as well, and we've put a group together. We do things together. So we give ourselves uh, once a month, a meetup, and we are also sporty. So we do walks. So we go to do some challenge, some physical challenge, or so. So we're setting ourselves up to do Kilimanjaro if we can. Yeah. So we'll see. Is that it? That's on my vision board. Work-wise, on my vision board, I'm starting to slow down. I want to slowly ease my way out because I want to also move towards starting my own thing.
Yeah.
Because I do believe I've given my husband always says you literally give it your all. These guys have sucked out every
Time to give back to Desiree. Yes, time to give back to self.
every bit of you out of you, you know. So it's my year to start slowly easing out, and I do want before I kick the bucket that I should have started something on myself for myself.
You actually have more and more years ahead of you. So we don't know about the bucket just yet.
So that's on my vision board. Eventually I want to move into that space. I told you as well that I come from a political family, so that's always been in my life. So I do a lot of charity work. So on my vision board is to start my own charity organization. I do volunteer at the orphanage. I sit on the board of a certain orphanage. So I do that. So that's constant in my life. But I want to start my own NGO.
Beautiful. And what are we reading this year? What is on your bookshelf? What is that go-to book? Or next to your bed? What are you reading?
Wow. I've got Michelle Obama's book. What's that book called?
Becoming.
Yeah, Becoming. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm reading. But I can go through 3 books at a time.
Wow.
Do you know the other book I'm reading? It's called. She gave us the book at the Godify. Sorry.
I didn't start that
So
one.
I got that on this side, and I got on entrepreneurship.
But that's the nice one you're going to need now because you're segueing into different.
Absolutely. And Sharmine, just to close up with you, what's on your 2025 vision board?
This year is all about me. All about me.
I thought every year was about you.
Yes, my birthday month is all about me. But I think we work so hard.
Yeah.
And I've realized over the last few months as I'm in a crossroad of my career that you sometimes need to take time for yourself. You need to breathe, reflect, and realize, I have achieved all of this because of me.
Yes.
The brand I am is because of me. The companies I worked for, yes, fulfilled the need of my brand. And I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to have some really great bosses in my life. But this year it's not about anybody else but myself and what I want to change. I am in a turnaround and I'm in a crossroads of my career, but I've got to make the decisions I make now again. Whatever I do is about me.
So it's the year of Sharmine.
It's the year of Sharmine, not just the birthday month of August. We were chatting and I said to her, my birthday starts on the 1st of August.
Full month.
It's a full month. But and my husband so lovingly, he buys me a little sweetie box every day, right until the 21st of which is my birthday. And I think that's why we're strong women. I'm a Leo. And I said, and the kids all say the word dibs. I said, dibs on that. No one's taking it away from me. But I think the thing that I'd like to leave as well is that we are all here to survive.
Yeah.
But we need each other. Gender, no gender. We all collectively can only succeed with each other.
I absolutely love that. And what are you reading currently?
Well, I told you I went back to Crucial Conversations because I really needed to go back there because it was becoming a hard time for me this year. And I'm like, okay, I need to go back. The book that I loved, actually not the book, the person that I loved, and he wrote 4 Legs of the Table, was Raymond Ackerman. The thing that I loved about him in the story he told us one day, is that he likes to promote people from within, not gender. Promote from within and help them and mentor them to become. And Isaac Matong was the HR director many years ago. And he said, do you know how he got there? He was a trolley porter with an aspiration.
That is quite a dynamic and amazing story. I mean, as you shape that. So you say Raymond Ackerman's, it's four
Legs of the table.
legs of the table.
That's a book that when we got to Pick and Pay, you had to read that book. But it wasn't even about the book. It was just the value he had and the belief he had in people. It doesn't matter where you are in the business. If you have the right aspiration, you can get there. And he said to me, and it was in a room full of people where he said, Isaac Matong was actually a trolley porter. And he became an HR director because he had a career path and he followed it, but he also had the right mentorship.
Yes, and I think that's exactly what we literally touched on. I think for the remainder of our time, where we talked about, it's okay. It's really very important to have a sponsor, to have your mentor, etc. So we come to the end of our conversation, ladies. Thank you so much to both of you. It's been it's candor, it's the wisdom, and just setting the tone. What this platform is all about.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for making the time, to bring us to the forefront. Very little attention is paid to, especially the women in the telco space. So, this is the first of many series, and we participated in the other event last year because we are what I might call the unsung heroes in the back end. And we call our heroes the celebrities, the people in the arts, and so you putting a spotlight on us, is something that we really appreciate and are grateful for.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for actually gracing me with your presence. I think it's always so important for us to shine the spotlight on the women that are breaking ground and literally shaping South Africa's ICT industry. Thank you, Nate.
Thank you so much.
And until next time, as I said, I am Swanina Mapstino, and I've been your host today for the ICT Dynamic Women Podcast. I look forward to our next conversation. Join us again next Wednesday as we kick off another conversation with the dynamic women of ICT. Thank you.
Thank you so much.